te jhāyino sātatikā niccaṃ dalhaparakkamā Phusanti dhīrā nibbānaṃ yogakkhemaṃ anuttaraṃ. These wise ones who are persevering meditators, always strong in their effort, they touch nirvana, the unexcelled or the highest rest from toil. So this is a very colorful verse, and I mean that literally. I've added some colors here to kind of group the words. Also some underlines. I think it's best to take the word te with dhirā. Te is a demonstrative pronoun, masculine nominative plural, and it's talking about these wise ones, these people kind of under discussion. And if you go back to verse 22 that we just had, it's the pandita appamade pamodanti, those wise ones who rejoice in vigilance. So these wise ones, another word for wise here, and then all these other words in blue are in apposition, or they're further describing these wise people. And they are jhāyino. So this is a masculine nominative plural, jhāyin, meditators, meditative ones, self-concentrated ones. This gives rise to jhana, the word jhana practice, the meditative absorptions. Also in Sanskrit, that's dhānin. And I should say this is whence comes the word Zen through Chinese chan, which was basically the transliteration of this word. Again, meaning meditation. So they're not only meditators, but they are sātatikā, again, masculine nominative plural, all these words in blue, masculine nominative plural. They are persevering meditators. Then we have this nice word niccaṃ. You might remember in another daily Pali reading, rūpaṃ bhikkhave aniccaṃ. We often see that as impermanent. Here, because this is an accusative singular, a neuter accusative singular, it's being used adverbially. So it doesn't really mean you could think about it as permanently, but that in English that might sound kind of strange. So we could just say always, constantly. And that is modifying daḻhaparakkamā. Now this is really a bahu-bihi compound. And what that means is it's describing something. It's an adjective, in other words. So this parakkamā means exertion, effort, endeavor. Dalha is a word meaning steadfast, which I don't know how often we come across steadfast and resolute. Strong, maybe. Strong, efforted ones would kind of get the meaning across here somewhat woodenly or literally. Those of strong effort would be another way to say that. So this is, and again, this dhirā is the wise. These wise ones, all these, this nice long description, this is the verb. Phusanti is third person plural, present active indicative. They touch. That's the literal meaning. Maybe they attain, they reach nibbānaṃ, nirvana. This is our accusative singular. So this is the object. We have a nominative, we have a verb, and we have our accusative object here. Now this object is further elaborated upon. It also has some words that are in apposition. They're put here in green. Nirvana is being described as yogakkhemaṃ. So kemaṃ is has a couple different meanings. It can be rest. So for instance, rest from yoga. Now, yoga, obviously we probably all familiar with this word, comes from the root word yuj, which means to yoke, like to put together, that kind of thing, like animals being yoked to get work out of them. So rest from the yoke, rest from toil, rest from work. And that yogakkhemaṃ, that kind of rest, is being described as anuttaraṃ, the highest. There's nothing beyond, there's nothing more tranquil or peaceful or restful than nirvana. I came across a translation, I said this before, that where this was taken as the joy of union or the joy of yoga, or the tranquility of, I shouldn't say joy, but the tranquility of union. And at first I thought, well, I don't know, that seems like kind of a reach. But I've really reconsidered that, dear listener, and I would love your input here. The thing about that is, yoga, of course, we know in the modern period as kind of, we know it by the asanas, the positions, people who get into sometimes very contorted positions. But yoga still remains at its heart a meditative practice. And since this verse deals with jhāyino, with meditators, it's not, I don't think it's a bad idea to think about this word as having that dimension. And that's the beauty of going to the Pali. We have the, we have as direct access as possible. So if we just read rest from toil in a translation, that captures this nicely, but it doesn't give the full range of possible interpretations. And I do like this idea that nirvana is the tranquility of union. And dear listener, I will let you kind of decide and fill in the comments, or fill up the comments with what you think that union is, or that union is between. And it would be remiss not to mention that I came across in the Kena Upanishad this verse, the wise ones, dhīrā, that's almost the very same here. Now this is Sanskrit, of course. Having realized, understood Brahman in all beings, and having turned away from this world, become immortal. Amartaha bhavanti. Now that's almost the exact same in Pali. We don't have amarta, we have amata. And it may not be expressed like this. It might be like the path to the deathless. But you can see this is very similar to the word we get in verse 21. And this was Gambhirananda's translation of not just the Upanishads, but really Shankara Acharya's commentary on the Upanishads. So I just thought that I would add that because it's such a similar sentiment. And if we kind of know how to translate between these conceptual domains, it opens up all these other teachings to us, and can give us even more inspiration to keep walking the path. Lastly, something I should have said first, this verse was already covered in the series on nirvana. I wanted to do it again here because this way it's in context. Here we get the flow of the actual verses from the Dhammapada. But you might check out the nirvana playlist and see what you think of the treatment this received there.